the engagement and communication, and with pre-transition it will vary with the circumstances. I mean, I have seen, not quite, because when we're involved we do try and discourage this as a plan, but it is possible to do the transaction and stand up in front of the employees and say, congratulations, you became employee owned yesterday. You know, and the employees are going, did we? And because you actually, the owners can dictate it all and just put all the structures in place, sign all the bits of paper, and then do that. Now, some people do that because they worry about setting hairs running, that, you know, we don't want to give up too much information too soon, but it actually isn't, you're not going to get a lot of engagement buy-in on day one in that. And there'll be a lot of questions to be asked, and one of the reasons why these processes often take 6 months is because you are getting a wider involvement. Now, you get the financial stuff sorted out first, so you don't start setting those hairs running too early. So can we fund this? Have we got a price that works? But then when you start looking at some of the wider questions, then open up those discussions so people have a greater understanding. It is absolutely critical after the transfer so that people understand what it means to be an owner, understand the responsibility that comes with that as well as the rights. Also so that the correct balance of governance and lines of accountability that you put in place, whether it's via the trust out to the wider group of employees, that people know how to exercise their rights responsibly. But also that they're in a position to hold the board accountable for, is this business doing well or not? Some people can understand a profit and loss account and balance sheet more easily than others. So there's a lot of education that goes in as part of that process as well. And like I say, it's very common to have a sort of working group, which might even be elected from the employees. Sometimes you pick the people to make sure there's a cross-section, but very common to do an elected process. And people quite like that, sort of almost getting used to what it feels like to be involved in a democratic process, which might well be part of your governance and ownership structure going forwards anyway. The employees do usually understand that something's happening. I mean, in the early days when we turn up, we don't usually sign in as Baxendale. We're usually BPL or something like that, because if employees can be, the rumour, they can be and you'll usually find there's a small group of employees in the organisation whose antennae are very sensitive and can really pick up something that's going on, but they might then jump to the wrong conclusion. So you need to manage communication at the right stages. And a key part of that is managing expectations of timetable, and just being clear that if we're going down employee ownership, it's probably not going to happen tomorrow. It's actually, we're part of a process here. They will be thinking about succession as well, but just don't make misleading statements to them. The tax changes coming through this year have actually been in many ways a convenient excuse for a lot of organisations to say it's going to happen next year, sometimes for tax reasons. But it's just important to, because I have seen it where people have almost got too excited about the fact they think they found a perfect solution and they share the information too soon, and then a year later the employee said, what was happening with that employee ownership? And it's because they hadn't quite thought through some of the practicalities, particularly on funding and price at that point.